Well, welcome to video number 17, which is changing the oil in the transmission of a Evo Softail. This is a short version because I've started without thinking about recording it. You can see that the drain plug is unhelpfully in there and underneath at the end, and then on top of that is a bracket for the exhaust pipe, and you can see here that this bracket slides along back to there where it should be, and then mounts on this bracket that's bolted to the gearbox. So you need to get down on bended knee and loosen off these screws, these bolts first, before undoing the exhaust pipe bracket, because otherwise the whole thing's flapping around. And once you've got everything loose, you can remove this and clean it up and slide it. I've put a screwdriver in between the two pieces to make it loose on the pipe, so it can slide over here out the way, and that will then enable you, without taking all the exhaust pipe off, thank goodness, to get to the drain plug, which is, where are you? Let's have a look. I lost you. There we go. So there's the bottom of the gearbox. Hopefully you can see that. You can see the drain plug there, and there's the two bolt holes for the bracket, which then sits underneath there, so you can't get to it. So it has to go out the way, but it's a lot easier than taking the exhaust system off. On the slightly later models, the drain plug is where's my fingers there? The drain plug is underneath in the centre of the gearbox, in between the two suspension units, which is much easier to get to. But as you can see now, it's been draining for about 10 minutes while I had a coffee. The oil is it's quite nice. You can see a few specks of dirt in there, but there's nothing floating in the oil. I have had oil once. I did an oil change on an engine, and the oil was just metal flake, just sparkly, and I had to investigate what that was. But this looks like just specks of dirt. They don't look like metal, so I'm not too worried about that. The oil itself is quite slimy, which means the chain molecules haven't broken down. But then I've only done about 4,000 miles, so now it's a case of putting the plug back in. Let's have a look at that while we're on the subject. You can see it's quite a small Torx plug. It's tapered, and there is a set amount, I can't remember what it is, in hundredths of an inch, that must be sticking out. But as it's a tapered thread, if you over tighten it, you'll just simply strip the thread, and then that will be all end in tears while you get something repaired. There is a set amount that it must stick out by, but I'm thinking if I just screw it back up to the tide mark, you can tell instinctively whether it's going to be all right. That's a magnet which collects any nasties. You can see from there, look, if we put that on there, so that collects any nasties. You need to inspect that. Mine had a very small amount of metallic sludge, but not much at all, and I'm quite happy with it. I've given it a wash off with brake cleaner, so that's ready to go back in. And then it's just a question of adding oil. The oil level is governed by the dipstick, which says, it's probably a bit blurred at the moment. Let's see if I can steady that up. Well, you can't see it very well, but it says F for full and A for add oil. So it ain't rocket science to work out that if it's below A, you add more, and if it's above F, you take some out. Otherwise you start getting problems with breathers and things like that. So to take the level, you press it in, but you don't screw it, so it just rests against the threads like that to take your reading, and that's it. Job's a good one. So it's just a question of putting the bracket back on and sliding this exhaust back up onto the removable bracket, and you're away with the mixer.